Today on the show, all our favorite players are going to Arizona, so maybe we should too. We'll also talk about the latest spring training cuts, and we'll speculate on what the Orioles opening day rotation could look like. All that and more on this edition of Section 336.
Section 336, Matt, Josh, and Bert are at the games, hidden behind home plate. Let's go O's! Section 336.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Baltimore sports fans of all ages, welcome to Section 336, Next Generation of Baltimore Sports Talk. I am your daily stuttering host, Matt Soroka. As always, I'm joined by the zany Bert Rohde.
Go Diamondbacks! Woohoo!
And the button lover, Josh Soroka.
We all knew he'd come in all fired up about the Diamondbacks. I mean,
It's the only team I actually have gear for other than my beloved Orioles.
And we're also joined by Dillon Atkinson in studio today, friend of the show. Welcome, Dillon.
Thank you. It's great to be here again.
Yeah, long time no see.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to hear your take on some Orioles stuff. I get tired of hearing Josh and Bert and their terrible
We've
Oriole
become
takes.
very predictable.
Yeah. So, Dillon, what have you been up to? You're still writing for Utah Street Report, is that right?
Yeah. It's been a good run so far.
Yeah.
After we shut down at Orioles Uncensored, I took some time off from writing for a bit and then hopped on with Utah Street Report and been writing since.
Yeah, that's cool. What's the most recent article you've written for Utah Street Report?
Most recently talked about Cedric Mullins.
Okay.
Where basically it looks like he got the center field torch passed off to him by Adam Jones, but
Not so fast, muchacho.
not so fast.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll get into that stuff. Yeah, and we'll get into. I also should mention on today on the show, my Liberty Flames. Thrilled to announce that they won the Atlantic Sun, so they're going to the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, Belmont, Bert, your alma mater, not quite as lucky.
Oh, they won the Atlantic Sun Conference?
Yeah, the Atlantic Sun.
Yeah. Belmont used to dominate the Atlantic Sun Conference until they got too good for it, and they put them in the Ohio Valley Conference, where they've been a perennial number one seed, even though they happen to lose a championship game every once in a while.
Yeah.
Perennial.
Well, this is our first year in the Atlantic Sun because we dominated the Big South for a while.
All right, so maybe you're on the fast track. We just got to stay one step ahead of the Liberty Flames.
Yeah.
We should clarify, Liberty is your alma mater, Belmont is my alma mater.
Yeah.
Thus, we have a friendly rivalry for no reason.
We're still waiting for them to meet in the Final
Right.
Four.
Yeah, exactly.
great. Two schools that do nothing.
That's right. Yeah.
And
It's
right.
better than no school.
Have you heard of We Beat Lipscomb for the championship?
We used to dominate Lipscomb.
Because they're in Nashville, right?
Yeah, right down the road.
Yeah.
We have the Battle of the Boulevard.
I heard from both you guys yesterday, and it was just about this crap. It was you texting saying, "Hey, Liberty, if they win, they're in."
Yeah,
Bert's
tune in to ESPN.
throwing his phone in my face. Dick Vitale says that Belmont should be in.
Yeah, Dick Vitale and Michael Wilbon both said Belmont should be
heard
an
Michael
at-large
Wilbon
bid.
talking,
Yeah,
yeah.
man, I'm looking forward to this.
I think Lipscomb, who we beat, should be an at-large bid too. Little update on the kid.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we talked before, and this is really the opening segment still, and I'm sorry you have to sit through this, but my mom listens to the show, and she doesn't really like baseball, but I do updates on the kid just for Mom. So, Mom, I should call you more. I'm sorry, but here's the update.
Every subscriber counts.
On Silas and his aggressive behavior. So I have a problem. My 2-year-old is hitting my baby, Faye, violently hitting. We've done timeouts and positive reinforcements. That has been effective.
It's working.
Yeah. But I've been struggling with a larger issue. And this whole thing has gotten me to question what I'm doing with Silas and this whole thing, right? And you know what I realized? I have nothing in common with Silas. This is my problem.
Except for the hidden.
Yeah, well, maybe the aggressive behavior. But I cannot relate at all to the kid. It's making me question the whole thing about parenthood at all altogether. Like, I'm starting to regret this whole parenthood thing because I'm trying to figure out things to do with Silas, who's 2, and we have nothing in common. He wants to sit around all day and watch Daniel Tiger's neighborhood, and he wants to go outside when it's raining, and he wants to play hide and seek, but he thinks like just standing up against the wall counts as hide and seek. And then even if you try to pretend and say, Silas, where are you? At that moment, he runs out screaming. So like he doesn't even get hide and seek. I just have nothing in common with the kid. So it's making our relationship kind of rough right now.
Well, your kids are also pretty close in age. That's going to make it rough with the hidden and jealousy of each other and all that.
I just want something in common.
You should have went with the big gap like Bert and I went.
Yeah.
Well, he is still just 2. Like nobody has anything in common with a 2-year-old.
Yeah, it's true.
So
That's true.
You're not going to find a lot at 2, but give it a few more years.
Right.
I have
better?
me and my son have the same wardrobe of Diamondbacks gear and Captain Marvel T-shirts. That's like all we wear all day long.
All right, I'll give it time. I won't get rid of them yet.
Did you take Albie to Captain Marvel?
No, I took my oldest daughter, but I'll probably go see it again and take him. Yeah, he goes to all the Marvel movies.
Okay.
All right.
We're
Sorry.
fiends. We're hooked.
Hey, but I've been watching a lot of that Daniel Tiger show because it's actually a pretty decent show, and it's the one thing we can do together
Sure.
that I don't mind. I don't want to pull my hair out of. And
Why Daniel Tiger? Why not pull out Mr. Rogers?
Oh, I have, but now he doesn't want it anymore. He's like, it's too boring for him or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it is kind of boring.
I know. It is.
Episode 1 was like all about divorce too, which is a little bit heavy for some.
Oh yeah, Mr. Rogers was always like, if you go back, it's always like heavy topics.
Adult stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't play around. And like you'll just watch him play with blocks for like 20 minutes. All right, all right, Mr. Rogers.
He'd never make it in 2019.
Yeah, but I'm still gonna try to get him into it once he's a little bit older because I think Mr. Rogers is full of wisdom. But you know what they need? Because every episode with Daniel Tiger, and I'm sure our listeners know, but it's all like he learns how to deal with his anger in one episode, or he learns how to express his love for other people in another episode.
Yeah, that's because it's made by Mr. Rogers people.
Right,
And that's what
all
Mr.
the
Rogers
characters
was
are
about.
Mr. Rogers characters.
Right, and that's what Mr. Rogers did, was always had a overall topic like that.
Yeah, but what do you think about this, Josh? They need Daniel Tiger for adults. I want a 34-year-old Daniel Tiger who has an older brother who's a nerd, who has a dad or a mom with more Twitter followers.
I know where you're going with
than-
this. You want Daniel Tiger for millennials to teach them how to be humans.
Yeah, just teach them how to be kind to one another,
Right.
how to use Twitter,
How to actually work.
yeah, how to get a job,
Exactly.
and how to not quit halfway through. I just want a Daniel
think you're
Tiger
onto
for
something
adults.
there.
Am I onto something?
Sure.
I think I am. I think I'm onto something.
I thought you were starting to describe your own family.
Oh yeah, I was too.
I detoured that.
I want Daniel Tiger to have an older sister who FaceTimes instead of calls because FaceTime is awesome. Why don't you just call, or better yet, text? I don't got to FaceTime me every time.
That's a dig at someone I know.
Does she FaceTime you, Bert? Like if you're at work,
No,
does she FaceTime
it's
you?
the baby.
No.
She's only FaceTiming you for the baby. It's
No,
not for you.
No,
it was
she's not.
grad school stuff.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
really
then-
boring
then
stuff.
never mind.
FaceTime for it. Whatever. I don't like FaceTime. I rarely have a shirt on. Got to put it on. That's not true. What am I doing? Who does that? But I
Right.
feel like that's the fear of
I
FaceTime.
thought you'd take
every
your
time
shirt
you
off for
FaceTime,
FaceTime.
I'm on the toilet, or every time you FaceTime, I don't have any clothes on. But that has never happened to me. Never once
or the baby's eating.
has someone FaceTime me and I've been nude or on the toilet. Not once has someone but I feel like that's the big complaint. Yeah, don't FaceTime me. I'm on the toilet always.
Well, we learned last
Really
week,
happened.
10 a.m. is when we FaceTime you then.
Yeah, don't FaceTime me at 10 a.m. That's my time. I want to also, before we get into the Orioles, one other thing. Just got to clear all this, clear the air here. Last week, I asked listeners if you have a fantasy baseball team, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I want to reiterate how much our listeners suck. I did get one invitation from Dave Westwood, which I appreciate. Everyone else, Bupkiss, you guys are all dead to me. Our listeners who didn't invite me to their fantasy team,
I told
guys
you
are
you were
dead to
late.
me.
There were a whole bunch of invites
I know I was
earlier.
late to the drafts. I know. But anyway, I got into the fantasy of the league with Dave, but there was a problem. I got my team. It was keepers, so I don't know how any of this
So you
works.
didn't get to draft anyone? You were just given a team?
Yeah, and then like you draft all the free agents, and there's actually a lot of good ones because a couple of teams left. But then I got these series of emails. This is from March 7th. March 7th says, not rushing. I got an email from the guy who runs the league.
Right.
Not rushing you, but pick your keepers and message me that you have that you have. No pressure. Thanks. I never responded to that email.
Okay.
Next message
Here
I
comes
got.
the pressure.
Next message I got March 8th. Hi, Matt. I will choose your top 20 ranked players. The draft officially begins in about 2 hours. Thanks.
So okay.
I never responded. Next email.
I told you baseball.
You were the worst kind of
I
person
told
having
you
any
the
fantasy
problem with
league.
baseball fantasy is it's way too demanding.
It's your turn. It's your turn to draft. Simply grab one player from the free agent list before your time runs out. Thanks.
Didn't respond. Didn't log in.
Next email. This continues. Matt, you only have two and a half hours to respond. And this goes on. And then this is the next post right on the Yahoo thing. Did Team Wave pick? And by the way, my team name is Team Wave because I'm pro Wave.
Right,
okay,
because you're pro Wave. I get it.
Why not?
And this is Dave saying, I'm the one that got Matt into the league. I would say
Sorry.
that being new,
Was there an
he's
apology?
probably not aware of the offline draft and wasn't chopping at the bit like the rest of us. And so there's this debate, like what to do with my picks now that they're having.
They're trying to kick you
And
out
I
of the
missed-
league before the season
And I
starts,
missed
is
all
what
of
it
this.
sounds like.
You know what happened though? In Yahoo, it was automatically set up for all the messages to go to my Yahoo email, wowstrokey@Yahoo, an email address that I made in college and I haven't checked since college.
Wow, Strokey.
Wow, Strokey.
Okay.
I had a lot of nicknames in college. One of them was Strokey. Okay, don't judge.
And
I
what's
don't want to
it's
ask
be-
any further
Right,
questions.
I'm
right.
judging. I'm
How about
judging.
that? Wow.
I don't remember why. Wow.
You into like World of Warcraft?
No, it's better than the other one, which was my nickname was Stroke It. Strokey was better as opposed to Stroke It. But that's why all my emails were going to my Wow Strokey, and so I didn't get any of the emails. And so then I updated it.
You know, if I had an email that was Wow Strokey,
Yeah.
I would sign up for a new email before joining a fantasy team. I wouldn't want to share that email.
Everyone can see my email? That's Wow Strokey?
Yeah, it says Team Wave is hosted by Wow Strokey.
Oh, no. But who uses a Yahoo email account?
My mom.
Anyway. What are we doing?
That
mom
doesn't
jokes
help with
now?
the argument.
No, my mom actually does have a Yahoo email address.
Really? That she
Yeah.
uses? That's like a primary
Yes,
email?
that's her main email.
I've never met another person whose primary email is a
Yeah.
Yahoo email.
Me
She's
either.
holding out.
Right. I have a Yahoo email, but it's just for fantasy.
What's your Yahoo?
Soroka, Josh.
Shoot.
I'm
What?
not
Strokey
stupid.
wow.
It's not Strokey, Josh.
No, I learned years and
Josh
years ago,
Strokey.
you use your name for your email.
I know before that.
In
well,
fact, if
that's
I log
not
into
what we-
anything, I use my name.
Okay, Josh, but you're old enough. That's not what we do when you first got an email. What's the most embarrassing email address you guys have ever had?
When Instant Messenger was a thing,
Yeah, Instant Messenger.
I had a bunch
Right, it
of
was
like
the
fake
Instant
ones.
That's the
Messenger.
messenger account. Yeah, yeah.
I was the
Name.
BM King.
The BM King?
Yeah, bowel movements. BM King. Yeah, that was me. If
Sounds
you
about
ever
right.
got harassed
You
on
know.
AOL Instant Messenger from the BM King, it was probably me.
I wish I could quickly change your name on the video.
Obviously, I don't still use AOL Instant Messenger, but
But it's time to bring the name back.
let's bring back the BM King at section336.com. Oh, that was a good one.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyway.
I now get the emails. And
Gotcha.
I changed it to my Gmail account, and so I'm up to date now. Dave, I'm sorry. You're probably getting a rough time from your fellow fantasy.
I tried to warn you.
Yeah, but I get it now. I'm in now until my next faux pas.
Right. until they need more work.
Until they send you another email that you ignore.
Yeah, like this draft happens, I guess, over the course of I think the whole season or something because we're only in round 2 yet. So at least I didn't miss the whole thing.
Maybe there's only 2?
No, there's
Or is it-
I still got 3 open spots on my roster.
Yeah, that's for free agents.
No, the draft's still happening.
Okay.
All
All right. Good luck with
At
that.
least I think it is. Dave, if it's not, let me know.
All right. Glad you know how that league works.
Yeah, I'm on top of things clearly.
So.
All right, let's go to some Orioles. That's why we got Dillon here. Not talking about email names.
he suffered all of our
All right.
stories.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah.
What do you want to? You want to start with Arizona?
Dillon, did you have any nicknames in high school? Any good nicknames?
Nothing good.
Really?
Not that I can remember.
Yeah. I was called Doofus a lot too, but that's not really a nickname. That's more that's what they call me. I'm just kidding. No one called me Doofus. That was a weird thing for high schoolers to call each other Doofus.
In the
No.
late 90s.
Yeah.
I had some not safe for work nicknames.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right, let's start with this. You want to start with Adam Jones?
Yeah.
Let's start with Adam Jones.
Baltimore, great baseball city. This is now my town, so just want to relish it and just win baseball games. I didn't get here by myself. There's hundreds of people on the way who have helped me out, who have guided me, given me maybe a word of wisdom throughout my life, and I've taken it and used it, and I just appreciate the moment. I just appreciate the opportunity. That's really what it was all about.
Jones over, and he makes the catch. The Gold Glover putting on a show right now in center field.
Oh, what a catch! Spectacular play by the Orioles center fielder.
I definitely want to make a mark in the city as just someone who in the community is going to give his 100% to try to make a difference. You know, I said if I'm able to help one kid do something positive, I think I've succeeded. And, you know, so far I've helped a couple hundred.
Jones going back on his horse, warning track wall, and makes the catch! One of the greatest catches you'll ever see was just made by Adam Jones.
Jones back, and he caught it! He took away a home run!
I took advantage of opportunity here in Baltimore to play every day, and I haven't looked back.
So that was the video that the Orioles put out a little bit earlier today, right before the show. Kind of show some appreciation for Adam.
Yeah, it was well done. So finally, when he leaves, they actually show appreciation for him. That's cool. Right? Isn't that the... I mean...
Well, I think there's a difference between the warehouse showing appreciation for him and the new guys who may have not moved to Baltimore yet showing appreciation.
Is this
for
where
him.
Manny was getting at?
Yeah.
Right.
You want to talk about someone who was not shown the love? I think Adam Jones has a beef there. I'm waiting for his quotes.
Yeah, I know.
But
Me too.
He probably won't give quotes. You hear Manny's quote about we're not going to win at the
Yeah,
NL
yeah.
West, but we got to shot the wild card.
We got to shot the wild card. That's how you bring hope to your team.
He really said that?
He really
Yes,
said
he
that.
did.
Interesting.
I really like Manny. He's honest. No one's honest anymore.
Oh, that's
Manny's
also
honest.
that's
I love
after
that.
his comment of I'm going to always be a villain.
Yeah, I like that too.
I didn't even know he was a villain, especially in San Diego.
And we don't have enough villains in this league anyway. I'm
We
sick
will
of these-
never have a villain in San Diego.
Well, I'm sick of all these young, cool, exciting players. Where are the hateable players?
Yeah.
I want more hateable players.
They'll come.
There's not enough Puigs out there in this world.
We need
So I
steroids
like that
back
Manny's
to
all
get those
about-
that hatred back.
But let's focus on Adam Jones. Favorite memories? Let's start there. I think there's a lot to digest with Adam Jones. I want to get to kind of our reactions of him not being on the Orioles and if the Orioles could have signed him for $3 million. But before we get there, do you guys have favorite memories of Adam Jones? What comes to mind when you hear Adam Jones?
I think
What's his legacy?
I think the highlight memory of him in Baltimore. I mean, on the field, it's that Willie Mays catch is probably the best plays ever made. But the highlight, the first thing that comes to mind has to be him going around the warning track with the flag. And recreating all those memories that we have as kids of Cal, but in the celebration where we had not seen that in Baltimore before in a long, long time. So I think it's got to be that celebration of for me, that stands out with Jones.
I completely agree. I was going to mention the over-the-shoulder catch in Seattle as well as my most favorite play that he's ever made. I think that was 2011. Also him going around the warning track as well. But also for me, it's also how vocal he was, in post-game pressers or anything, especially if in situations like when Manny was getting thrown at by Boston the entire time, you always saw Jones talking after the game.
Right,
he always gave his honest opinion. And he was definitely the vocal voice of the Orioles.
Totally. I think of the Cal Ripken statue night when the Yankees took the lead in the 8th inning, and then all the Yankees fans were rubbing it in our faces that they were going to beat us on Cal Ripken night, and that lasted for about 20 minutes until Jones hit like a 3-run homer or something. What also stands out to me is the Orioles social media night that I was fortunate to attend a few years ago. Where Adam Jones they caught him on a bad day, I think, talking about how his favorite part of Baltimore was the airport.
Yeah.
And he's not wrong.
And that the crabs, the steamed crabs, don't be fooling ourselves. The crabs in Maryland are really from Louisiana. that went over well. And you remember, I just pulled this up on my phone. This was August of 2014, so that was a good year. I had prepared the question I was going to ask Adam Jones if they gave me the opportunity. Hey, Adam, what's up? I am the zany Burt Rohde from Section 336, Baltimore's best sports talk. And I liken myself as an admirer of uniforms, throwbacks, alternates, and such. My guess is you're probably the same way with the way you wear your socks and the addition of the orange stripes. Big fan, by the way. But anyway, I was curious to know which unis around the league, besides the Orioles, obviously, do you think are the best looking? Maybe even your thoughts on the worst looking ones. Any classic favorites of yours? And I never got to get that answer.
I think we're better off that you didn't get to ask that question.
Could you imagine the audio gem?
That's the greatest question that's ever been asked.
It may be the longest question.
I want to see how long you would have gotten down.
That's like a FanFest microphone hog.
Yeah. Oh,
Why?
yeah.
Yeah,
that'd be great FanFest.
There should have been some like you lose a bet, you got to ask that question at FanFest.
No, they did. Do they still let the kids ask questions? Because once Albie can read, I'll be writing out all of his questions for him to read over the phone.
You will. We know that's coming. but I love the idea of a grown adult asking a kid like question
and trying to hip like saying unis.
Like right, like someone asks about Frank Robinson and everyone laughs at him. Then you get up and ask a uniform question.
Yeah, I should save that question for the season ticket holder only.
Yeah.
That privately got in early.
Right. We're
all asking stupid questions.
Yeah, all the old bitter people. That's when you use it. Yeah.
Hey, Mike Elias. I am the Zany Burt Rohde from Section 336.
The only thing I would change about it is just leave off the Section 336, all right? don't bring us into this. But the rest was beautiful.
They'll love that guy.
When I think of Adam Jones, I think of him making a diving catch while blowing a bubble. Who else does that? I think that's that's the first image that comes to mind.
Right.
His bubble blowing.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think of it didn't happen in an Orioles uniform, but robbing Manny Machado in the World Baseball Classic of a home run, which is just such a great highlight. And then like for Adam Jones, like you got to talk about all the off the field stuff, right? Like almost more than anyone, he's won every off field award there is to win.
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people help with the community, but Adam Jones seems to help on a kind of a different level than most players.
Are there any video clips of Manny Machado with a sledgehammer busting out walls in schools and stuff?
No, but there are video clips of him bowling.
Okay.
And remember, he did a lot for the community.
In the state of Maryland.
He did a lot for the state. Yeah.
I see a video of him in a hot tub on the back of a yacht.
Right. Yeah, no ugly tattoos on Adam Jones that we know of.
But yeah, and you'll remember Adam Jones for his voice, both on Twitter, kind of almost speaking for the fans. I didn't always understand him on Twitter, but like
you don't want my opinion,
right?
Clearly advocating for the Orioles to be better. Dillon, I need your opinion now.
What? No, I'm talking about
the Adam
tweet.
Jones. Yeah,
his tweet that
said, "You don't want my opinion on Adam Jones."
When he randomly tweeted out, "You don't want my opinion," when it came to the Braves signing Markakis.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
His willingness to kind of stand up and speak to power, we always love.
Right.
So I remember all that stuff.
And remember, he got behind the Ravens also. When they went on their Super Bowl win and stuff, he was traveling and going to the road games.
It is not possible for a guy to embrace Baltimore. I mean, the only
what's his tailgate he did even this past year?
Yes, it's not possible for a guy to embrace. Like the only he could have done more to embrace the city of Baltimore is like I don't know, like buy Cal Ripken's house or something.
Right.
That's the only thing he could have done to embrace it more.
Yeah.
Oh wait a minute, he did that too.
That was a bad financial move, but you know what? He's selling it for the same price that I think the Diamondbacks are paying him, so it's no big deal.
I hope he's making a little more money than that off it.
I don't think so. I think it was like $3 or $4 million.
Oh, I thought it was more than that he bought it for.
I think he might be taking a loss.
Oh.
Yeesh.
I don't know.
Well, maybe I think he thought he was staying in Baltimore, and I think he thought he was probably he's going to make a little bit more money.
I think he wanted to make a point to Ket of, hey, look, I'm staying here.
Yeah, and even maybe if he signed a bigger contract, he could afford to keep a house in Baltimore.
Yeah,
but
true.
Not as is. Are you guys like?
I don't know. I'd like to be able to have the money that I can make a point by buying the biggest house in the state,
and then realize you can't afford it and sell it.
Yeah, yeah. As long as I'm getting another payday, sure.
You guys' reactions to both the team, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the amount of money, $3 million. Your kind of reactions to Adam Jones signing.
The $3 million is disappointing that it got that low and the Orioles had no interest. So that's disappointing because you would think $3 million is a great price for some veteran leadership. and for a guy that is a fan favorite that could really teach these young guys and who kind of proved himself with how he handled Cedric Mullins in center field last year, that he can be this veteran teaching the young guys. $3 million would have been a great price for that. So it's disappointing that that Baltimore showed no interest.
It seems like they're obviously going in the opposite direction. That even for $3 million, they don't want over 30 outfielder in an outfield that's already competitive to get on the field, where he's just going to eat a spot for somebody who actually is going to contribute to the future.
And
of
I
the
understand
team.
that point as well. I just think they've wasted other money.
I always like to look at fan graphs to see kind of, because they predict how much money they think they're like do crowd streaming or crowdsourcing, and then they also have one of their experts, and it was one person said 1 for $8 million. I think other people said 2 for $10 million, and so 1 for $8 million like sounded about right. 1 for $3 million is significantly less than that.
Yeah,
Dylan, were you surprised that he only got $3 million?
I mean, after how free agency has unfolded and everything, I'm not really that surprised, just because of how terrible it has been for players to get contracts this past offseason.
I guess in that case, it's surprising he got a major league deal.
Yes, because you saw some outfielders of at least close to his caliber earlier this offseason signing minor league contracts. I mean, Curtis Granderson about a month and a half ago had to sign a minor league contract with the Marlins.
Yeah,
and when he's been actually pretty productive over the past
kills us
3-4 years. Yeah, exactly. So for him to sign a minor league contract with the 5th best team in the NL East that early in the offseason, with it being 2-3 weeks into spring training, I was like, is Jones gonna have to sign a minor league deal?
Yeah.
So really, if anything, I may have been at this point a little surprised that he got that much.
Yeah.
Now, if you would have asked me before the offseason started, I would have said that he would be signing for 1 for $5 or 2 for $10 or something like that. But $3 million at this point, I'm a little surprised it was that high.
Yeah. I was surprised it was that low. I shared this with you before we started the show. I feel like this is all you need to know about this deal. Is the Orioles signed known quitter Kobe Rasmus to a 1-year, $3 million deal last offseason, and Adam Jones just made that same contract.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't put Adam Jones, like Kobe Rasmus, he can't tie the shoes of Adam Jones in my mind. I think it's unbelievable that they signed the same contract just a year ago. How fast we've gone. And this is why when people scoff at sabermetrics and say it's killing baseball, this is why. This is so stupid. I get why the Orioles didn't do it. It boggles my mind that a team like the Indians or someone, a team who wants to win, who needs an outfielder, want to go out and sign a quality veteran outfielder that you can count on, that has been consistent. It just boggles my mind.
That's exactly who I thought was going to sign Adam Jones, because their outfielders is miserable.
Yeah, and they have a playoff team, right?
Exactly, yeah. They have a great infield, great starting rotation, pretty good bullpen, and nobody in the outfield. I mean, they have guys competing for center field. I think they have Leonus Martin out there, good defender out there, but nobody in left or right field. Yeah. Absolutely nobody. So Jones would have fit perfectly, especially being, as hard as it is to say, on the decline, where a corner is probably better suited for him. Good for him that he's going to be a starting center fielder in Arizona.
Oh, is he starting center in Arizona?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, he will be in center.
Wow.
He will be starting center
That's
field
surprising.
in Arizona. It was going to be Ketel Marte, but they are moving him out of that role and into a super utility position for Jones to start in center. Because they have David Peralta in left and Souza in right.
Yeah, I'm sure Adam Jones is loving that then. Wow.
Yes. So, I mean, we haven't really heard any details about if there were any other offers out there for Jones. It wouldn't surprise me if he took less money to go start in center field
and
somewhere.
play every day.
And be in Arizona. I mean, that's not bad either for 81 of your games.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure beats Baltimore, huh? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying I'd go to Arizona.
Do you see
for
what Bert's
$3
wearing
million.
right now?
Yeah. It's not going to be snowing on opening day in Phoenix.
If someone wants to pay us, we'll shift to a Diamondbacks podcast for $3 million.
I think there's
Dylan's halfway there. He already knows half the starting outfield.
Yes.
I was like, I've never heard
I
of
know.
3 of these guys.
Souza, what a Tampa Bay guy, right?
Oh yeah, I know him.
Start off in D.C.
Oh, he was. I thought he was the John Philip Sousa. No, wait.
Steven Souza Jr.
There
you go. Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised by this whole thing, as I find shocking. I feel like this is kind of old way versus new way, though, because I feel like someone like Buck Showalter always wanted proven veterans there,
right?
And I feel like new GMs are like, if I can get this guy, like if I can get one of my minor league guys who I pay nothing to put up the same WAR that Adam Jones puts up, then I'm going to make that trade off all day, because that's all. I feel like this is what's wrong with baseball is they just look at WAR, and you don't take into account who's got a proven track record, right? Like you can count on a veteran more than you count on a guy coming up just from the minors.
Right? Who's going to run the locker room, especially when things get ugly?
Yeah,
because we know they're going to get ugly at some point this year. Who's going to handle things?
Yeah. What if I want to throw out some scenarios? Well, let me first ask you this, because I'm on the fence with this. If the Orioles, and I'm sure they could have done this, if the Orioles would have offered him a 1-year, $3 million deal, I bet he would have stayed in Baltimore. Do you guys think he's clearly showed he wants to stay in Baltimore? He wanted to, past tense. Would you guys have signed Adam Jones to a 1-year, $3 million deal? First, just answer that question.
I mean, yeah, I started my reaction with that.
Yeah, Dylan, would you have?
It's that's a tough thing because obviously, I love Adam Jones. I think he would be a great veteran leadership thing in the clubhouse, but there's already a crowded outfield in Baltimore, as is even without Jones. I mean, eventually this year you're going to be looking to start 3 guys out of Mancini, Mullins, Stewart, Hayes, Diaz, possibly Santander, Dwight Smith Jr., Eric Young. You have a lot of guys fighting for 3 spots in an outfield.
What if I told you, Dylan? Let's play the what if game. What if I told you that a combination of Joey Rickard and Eric Young Jr. would have 450 at bats this year? That combination, which could go to Adam Jones, right? Because if Eric Young is out there and Joey Rickard's out there, you're not blocking spots for minor leaguers. We're probably screwed if they're out there that many at bats, but they're not blocking spots.
Right. Dwight Smith, the guy they just signed, he's not a long-term plan either.
Right. So if you knew going in that Joey Rickard and Eric Young Jr. would have 450 to 500 bats, at that point would you say, okay, I'll go for Adam Jones. He's not blocking anyone.
If that was the case, absolutely. Yeah. The only fear would be that he is blocking.
Yeah, your Austin Hayes, your Diaz.
Exactly.
Hayes, Diaz, Stewart.
I think the ownership or the management is trying to, like, they could have easily brought him back, and especially for a 1-year deal. Who's he really going to block in 1 year? But they're severing all ties with the Orioles, who were good from 2011 to 2014. They're saying
closure.
That phase is over. We still got these stragglers with Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo, who they're going to cut ties as soon as it's financially feasible, or just it's ridiculous beyond the point where I'll just eat $110 million. Yeah, throw it into the stands. I don't know.
It does make you wonder if you look at guys like Dylan Bundy, Trey Mancini, who are still here, if the goal for them is to flip them in July. If these are really parts, or if it's a complete restart where we don't even want to touch old stuff.
Here's the only thing, and I agree with all that. My only pushback on maybe why I should sign Adam Jones, and this, tell me if this is completely stupid. This might be completely stupid, but we're not going to win any games, right?
Yeah.
And if you're the Angelos, John, and Lou, you've emphasized so much how much you care, not just about your team, but how much you care about the community of Baltimore, right? So if you're not going to win any games, why not, for a very kind of small cost in their mind, bring by a guy you know will have just a huge impact, forget on the baseball field, just on the community of Baltimore? Like, is it worth bringing a guy just so you can keep him an Oriole for the rest of his career and know that he will further dig his roots in Baltimore and impact the community of Baltimore? Is that worth signing a guy? Forget about the baseball.
I think it's a conversation where I think there's something to be said about giving the fans something, because the fans don't have anything right now.
Yeah, I mean, talking about outside of that, just the community of Baltimore, something, right?
Sure.
And who cares? Screw the community of Baltimore.
I get the community of Baltimore. I just don't know how much that's worth paying $3 million for the community, because you're going to force the young guys to go do your Boys and Girls Club and the Oriole Way thing. Adam Jones went above and beyond, And you hope that Adam Jones will still continue to do that because he played so much of his career here.
And if the Orioles really wanted to help the community, they could do more with $3 million than just give it to Adam Jones to play baseball.
True. Yeah. And Adam Jones's family still lives here. Like, his in-laws are still a Baltimore family. So I assume he's still going to be making the impact. And he'll still have to deal with BWI once in a while.
You know what I don't understand? I just looked up Eric Young's contract because I was trying to do some math and say, okay, what if like we didn't sign Eric Young Jr., but we signed Adam Jones, right? I don't know how much his contract though. When I look up his contract on Baseball Reference, it just says minor league contract.
Right.
You're telling me a 34-year-old guy is still on his minor league contract?
No, we signed him to a minor league because no one wanted him for a major league.
Right. So it doesn't reveal his contract. Why? Because if he gets picked up, he'll make a certain amount. If he doesn't get picked up,
he won't. He'll make like major minimum or whatever.
Minimum, is that how minor contract will make league minimum if he makes
unless they work it out differently in the deal. Like sometimes they'll do a minor league contract with spring invite, but if he makes the major league club, he makes $1.5 million or something like that.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
I'm not sure what the specifics are on Young's contract.
All right. That was
And I mean, the minimum's what, $1 million right now? 800? Something like that?
$550, I think it is.
$550,
around there.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of stuff coming out now, and I don't know if baseball is broken financially or not, because on the one hand, you still see tweets like, teach your son how to be a starting pitcher, whatever, because they make the most money, and baseball players tend to make the most money. But on that same side of things, you see a guy like Blake Snell, right, who got a $15,000 raise, $15,000 more, right?
A Yankees minor leaguer got a bigger raise than Blake Snell did.
Yeah, and so you look at that and you're like, what? And the stuff happened with Vlad Guerrero Jr. I know it's like he tweaked his hamstring or whatever, so he's gonna be down anyway. But like the manipulation of his service time, and I wonder if they're in the end they're not doing them a disservice. Like if I'm Vlad Guerrero Jr., any thought about signing with Toronto Blue Jays is done now. Or I would say you're gonna have to pay me $30 million more to sign me because that's what you cost me by wasting a year of my free agency.
I mean, the same thing happened a few years ago to Chris Bryant.
Yeah, and I would if I'm Chris Bryant, I would not resign with the Cubs unless you completely overpaid me to make up for how you screwed me. And same with Blake Snell. But Tampa Bay would never sign Blake Snell anyway. He'll get traded in 2 years, but whatever.
And what's crazy is that the team only has to keep him off the Major League roster for, I think it's like 18 days or something like that.
Yeah.
Or 15 days, something like that. It's like,
two or three weeks.
And it's like, okay, if you keep him off the roster for that long, then you get an extra year of service time out of him. It's like, it doesn't seem right.
Yeah, it really doesn't. They need to fix this whole thing. I have some ideas how to fix it, but no one's asked me yet.
How do you fix it?
Do you have any ideas?
Yeah. When you're drafted, you put a set number of years for how long they're on that team, right? So, like, let's say you're drafted out of high school. Then I don't know what the number is. 7 years with that team, right? Or out of college.
You want to put a limit on, and you want to count minor league time, is what you're saying.
I'm saying the moment you're drafted, your time starts. And what would happen is, I bet what would happen. I bet we'd be watching
him to the majors?
Diaz in the majors because there's no reason to hold him in the minors anymore, right? And you would actually see the best young players. But in the majors.
Is that best for development?
Oh, I don't care. What other league does this nonsense?
I don't know.
Yeah, and that just means like more old timers like Adam Jones will be out of a job 3 or 4 years earlier than they already are out of a job.
For better players, though. Like it would encourage teams
to
put
for
the
younger
best
players.
No, because we'd be watching younger players.
We'd be watching always younger players.
Yeah, isn't that a good thing?
Whether they're good or not, you're going to put them up. That means that means you sign Manny Machado, you put him straight to the majors.
I don't know about straight to the majors, unless if you're trying.
Why would you waste his time clock in single A or double A or triple A?
Because he's not ready at 19.
But he doesn't need like 3.5 years. He just needs like 8 months.
Right, and then you would put. And so why would Manny Machado stay in the minors if he would be your best third baseman? How does that make sense?
Then what's the point of minor league baseball? You destroy minor league baseball.
Isn't it to prepare major leaguers? And once you're ready to be a major leaguer, what are you still doing in the minors? You should be in
but and nobody wants to watch them play after they're 30. Why? I want to watch them play while they're 22.
Yes.
And this may actually be something that the players' union could get on board with it because
they'll get early paydays.
Not only early paydays for the good players and everything, but if they can get a faster track to the major leagues, they're going to want that, especially for the players that aren't drafted high, because minor leaguers are paid
It's the worst.
crap.
It's the worst.
Yeah. I saw some
Absolute
stuff about
crap.
that. Well,
Also-
the catchers too in spring training, they need catchers but don't want to pay them.
Right.
Yeah, they're not even paying them for it.
Well, I guess it would also get you to free agency quicker as well. So players would get behind
Yes.
that.
All right, I'm intrigued.
I don't think
That's how you
it'll
fix
work,
it?
but
Yeah,
they're
that's
gonna,
not a bad idea, though, right?
No.
That's not the worst idea you've ever heard.
All right, you have to write a 20-page paper on it and submit it. Full details.
No, see, I don't want to do any of the work. I just like to throw things out there.
Uh-huh.
Who is with Adam Jones, who was the face of the franchise for so long? Who would you say now would be the face of the franchise?
Chris Davis.
Chris Davis.
My favorite question.
It's got to be Chris Davis,
Yet to be
which
determined.
is funny. But I mean,
No, the answer is Trey Mancini.
The guy with the biggest
They-
paycheck.
they would want it to be Trey Mancini.
I think that's
when
the
they
answer.
put banners up, they're
Who
going to put
bought
up
the
Trey
fried
Mancini.
chicken? Who got Adam Jones' locker? The answer to both those questions is Trey Mancini.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't.
Mancini has to do it between the lines first. I mean, like, he had a great rookie year, but he
Yeah.
had a down year last year.
And-
If he has another down year, if you think about it, with the new management and everything, they don't have any personal ties to Mancini.
And they got
He could be on
pressure
the
in
way out
outfield.
if he has another down year.
Yeah.
He could be in the minors so quickly.
yeah, just Trey Mancini. Yeah, what last year was just his second full year, right?
Yes.
Correct.
And he's got like the fast track to now he's the face of the franchise by default.
Well, there's been articles all
Well, who
over
else
about how
would
he
be
has to be
it?
a veteran now.
Yeah,
Who else would it be? Dylan Bundy?
VR.
I mean,
VR? Who's been here for
Richie
how many
Martin.
months?
the guy who's going to get the most talk as long as he's
It's gonna
playing
be
is going to be
Chris.
Chris Davis.
And whether it's good or bad, he's going to be the face of the. The talk is going to be. We've seen it this spring.
no.
The talk is about Chris
Chris
Davis'
Davis doesn't
struggle.
talk enough. Trey Mancini talks more than Chris Davis.
Well, Chris Davis is tired of saying the same thing over and over again. I'm working on it.
No, that's Chris Davis.
Chris
is like,
Davis is the guy who's out doing the helping up missions and stuff. He's the one doing things in the community like you're asking for.
All right, I don't.
So I know it sucks for your face of your franchise to be the worst player on your team.
It's not
But
true.
that's where we're at right
There's
now.
no way Chris Davis faces this franchise.
He's like A-Rod when he was old and not any good and still getting paid the most, and he was still the face of the Yankees
Well, the Orioles
until they
announced,
told him he needed to retire. They gave him a front office job,
Yeah.
right?
When they announced their promo schedule, they announced one bobblehead or two, but the one current player was Trey Mancini. So they would like Trey Mancini to be the face of the franchise. Just don't know if he's
Yeah.
up to it.
Right.
And the fact that if you ask the average Major League Baseball fan across the country, who does Trey Mancini play for, they go, who?
Yes.
It's a low bar, guys. Right? It's a low bar.
I mean,
the-
Joey Rickart's doing the Royal Farm ads. Is Joey Rickard the face of the franchise?
If he can keep the beard into the regular season, then he can be the face of the franchise, in my opinion.
He can.
All right, well, then I'm in.
They got rid of the facial hair rule. Hyde did, since he has a beard himself.
That's right. And
The
Cashner rocked a beard last year, right?
the whole
Yes.
team.
That was worked into his contract.
This year, Cashner's rocking a belly.
Good.
He's a big guy this
At
year.
least give me something to look at.
It might help him pitch because Luis Ortiz, he's the guy everyone's talking about. Oh, look, he lost 25 pounds. Luis Ortiz is in such great shape. And then he was terrible.
I mean, to be fair to him,
He was terrible last year, too.
well, you see guys that have been husky in their careers and they lose some weight and they don't pitch as well because they still have time to adjust to it. I mean, if you remember a few years ago when CC Sabathia
Yeah,
dropped
that's
all that
it.
weight,
Yeah.
he couldn't pitch.
Yeah, that's true.
Pablo Sandoval, he dropped a lot of weight. He couldn't hit anymore.
Yep.
You know, so they either have to take time to adjust to it or maybe putting the weight back on is good for them.
Yeah, maybe Boston was onto something when all those guys were eating fried chicken and drinking beer during the game. Maybe those
John Lackey.
those
That's where
guys
it's
were
at.
onto something. The Orioles made some cuts. Do any of these cuts surprise you? So here are the list of the cuts.
Now
Luis-
these are cuts just like down to the minors.
Off,
Not like
off the team.
It's not like pink
Pack
slips
your
like
bags.
pack your bags.
No. Yeah, these are either optioned or reassigned.
Like whenever I think of baseball pink slips, you got to think of Major League.
Yeah.
And I think of those people being like pissed because they got pink slips in spring training. And now I look at it and like, well, they were just going to the minors.
Yeah.
Like, what were they so upset about?
The first thing I thought of was Betty Spaghetti getting that transcript that her husband had been killed in World War II in a league of their own.
Nobody cares about a league of their own.
Perfect.
You.
That's
that part made me cry.
Luis Ortiz, DJ Stewart, Dylan Tate, Bo Schultz, Sean Martin, Martin Cervenka, Yusniel Diaz, Ryan Mountcastle. Any of those cuts surprise you?
Mostly DJ Stewart, because I had him penciled in as my opening day right fielder, just for him having pretty much the most experience of the other guys vying for the right field spot, aside from Rickard and everything. But Stewart played well when he got brought up to the majors.
And he's a guy that was slowly brought through the minors, right? So he played at every level for a while.
Yes, he was slowly brought through, especially because he wasn't necessarily meeting expectations in the minors. Yeah. Because when the Orioles drafted him, with him being a stocky outfielder and everything, they were hoping that he was already a good on-base guy, but they were hoping that for his size and not being a huge speed threat and everything, that he would start adding some power in there, and he really hadn't in the minors. He hit for some power last year when he got brought up. I think he had 2 shots on the Utah Street, but I had him penciled in as my opening day right fielder, so I knew there was a chance he wouldn't make the team.
It's a good thing you used the pencil, right?
But exactly. But I was very surprised that he got cut this early.
Yeah.
Right. Does that speak highly of Austin Hayes or more lowly of Diaz, and we want him to get more in, or is it a time clock thing?
I think it could definitely be a time clock thing, but at the same time, Diaz did struggle a little bit in Bowie when he got traded over to the Orioles, and so they may think that he could use some more fine tuning down there, and the fact that Hayes has already played at the major league level before he got hurt. So I think that could have factored into it. So, right. But I do believe time clock could be a part of it. I think it's more on the developmental side.
Do you think this whole open competition that Hyde's talking about is a bunch of BS? Because you can't play better than Diaz has played, yet he's out of here. So open competition, fresh eyes, everyone has a chance to make the team. That's a load of BS, right?
Well, it's a difference between open competition and the best player makes the team. I mean, you can have open competition, but just because a guy is doing the best doesn't mean he gets to win.
And remember, we only see what we see. We only see these games where Hyde's watching the guys constantly and has the coaches that are, maybe it's a issue with Diaz's range or something.
Diaz range issues?
I don't know.
Range looks fine to me. Wait, what do you know about the range issues?
I know
what
nothing.
analytics did you look at? What defensive analytics are you looking at?
I hear Steve call them and fuddle with the cord while he's calling a game, and then I have watched one game on TV, I think. Maybe 2.
Me and Silas watched a game, what was it, on Saturday?
Yeah,
that was fun, yeah.
I don't know if fun is what I would classify it. But
it was a thing I watched.
It was baseball on TV. It was fun for me.
Right.
TV.
And Ryan Mountcastle sent down?
I mean, no surprise. They're moving him to a new position.
Are they?
And Elias even hinted that they'll start using him in left field as well in the minors.
Mountcastle?
Yes.
Oh, no.
I mean, if you think about all the scouts and everything, even when he was at third base, they've been saying that Mountcastle was either going to be a first baseman or a left fielder, because left fielder is the spot in the outfield where you put a big bat that doesn't really fit in the field.
But don't we have enough young outfielders?
I thought that was right field.
Right
with
fielder.
Trumbo. Trumbo and right field, or left field with Mancini.
Well,
that's pretty much the Orioles outfield.
No, I mean, the issue with Mountcastle is his arm, right? And I think left field, you can get away with having a worse arm.
Right,
yes.
Gotcha.
Right, yeah. But I think we have enough outfield prospects, and I thought, like, having a good defensive outfield matters. No? Are we back to Delman Young and Mark Trumbo in our outfield? I think
doesn't
defense outfield matter?
I think that's why. Isn't that why we made this trade for like Dwight Smith Jr. and Eric Young and these guys that can fill a role while our stars get ready?
I mean, it's very possible. I do say that defense in the outfield matters. I think best case scenario, Mountcastle is a first baseman or a DH type, but in the situation that maybe you have Mancini starting at first base down the road, you have someone else DHing, and let's just say, hopefully not, but let's just say that a lot of the outfield prospects don't work out. Right. Maybe you have Mullins in center and Hayes and Wright, and Diaz is on the 60-day IL. Sorry, but
don't want to trigger anybody.
Hopefully not. But best case scenario, you have Mountcastle at first base or DH. But I think they're gonna push him into the left field a little bit just in case.
I don't get this.
Well, you don't get it because 5 minutes ago you were pushing this whole send them minors straight up. So you want to see these young guys in Baltimore.
I do.
And I think there's excitement for these young guys, and we're going to have to go to Bowie.
What I really don't get, and this is not Mike Elias, so this is him coming in, but Ryan Mountcastle, I feel like 3 years ago everyone said, like not 3 years ago, but from Jump Street, everyone says this guy's not good enough at third base. Like he's not good enough at third base. Over and over again. Yet they never tried a new position for him. So I don't know why they weren't doing this, a year ago. Why now? Is really what I don't get.
Yeah, I mean, they've been saying this for the past few years. Like you've been saying that he's a first baseman, he's a left fielder, he's not a third baseman.
Everyone said it,
and the Orioles never moved him once. Yeah. I mean, he was drafted as a shortstop. They moved him to third base because he wasn't cutting at shortstop. He wasn't cutting at third base, and they just said, "Nah,
maybe he'll get better." I want to talk a little bit about starting pitching. We have Cobb, we have Cashner, we have Bundy. I am. If you got me drinking a little bit, and you got me real optimistic, I might paint a scenario for a why not year.
Using Mike Wright?
I dream about another why not year.
Yeah,
and then I wake up.
Here's the number one problem with my why not year is for this to happen. Dylan Bundy would have to be great.
Yeah.
And Dylan Bundy, who former top prospect, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, just has not put together. And now another spring, and I know these kind of spring trade stats don't matter, but for a guy like Dylan Bundy, who struggled last year, it kind of does matter. And I'm biased to love Dylan Bundy. He's got horse legs. I'm a huge Dylan Bundy guy. But he is really struggling. And if Dylan Bundy cannot be good for the Orioles, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long season, right?
Yeah, I mean, I never really pay attention too much to spring training stats. The thing that's been concerning me most with Bundy is that the radar gun. It's showing 88 to 91 right now for him.
Yeah,
which is not a good sign, and especially this late into spring training. I mean, usually see some guys down a few ticks to start off spring training that they're still getting warmed up and everything. That's fine, but he's been consistently in the 88 to 91, 92 range, and we've been seeing that the past couple of years where Bundy would ramp it up a bit in his first few starts of the year, where he's hitting 94 and 95 on the gun, and then later in the year we just see that the velocity just creep back down a bit.
Yeah.
If he's starting the season at 88 to 91,
that's it.
Where's it going to go in August?
Yeah. Dylan Bundy will no longer. I mean, you're lucky if he's number 5 starter at that point.
Right. Does that concern you about any arm injuries or anything going on? They haven't rested him yet or anything with it, right?
Possibly arm injury. That they haven't rested him, but they haven't reported any arm injuries. Maybe some fatigue, but they haven't reported that either. But also, I am willing to wipe a clean slate with him under a new staff and everything. I'm willing to kind of wait out a bit because I'm sure they will have some stuff to try to work with him on. But so I think it is a big patience thing. So we may have to deal with a pretty rough April, rough May with him or something like that. But if we start getting into June and July, he starts making some adjustments, pitching well again. That's great. If he doesn't, then it may be that this staff got to him a little too late.
Or is it the fact of like a Trumbo, where Trumbo last year was saying that the stats, all the extra stats and launch angle was messing with his head? Do you think they brought in too many stats that Bundy's now overthinking it in spring training?
Both your comments drive me nuts, right? Because Dylan said if it doesn't work out, then they got to him too late. And Josh is like, all these stats might be messing with his head. Now forevermore, we're going to be saying a player didn't or did work out because of management. When isn't it, if a player doesn't work out, couldn't it be that they just suck, right? That they just weren't good enough to cut it?
Well,
forget about coaching.
Did Jake Arrieta suck, or did the management and coaching screw it up?
I think there's certain players where management helps, but I don't care who Nolan Reimold. I don't care who his coach was.
Well, his problem was injuries.
Okay, I knew Josh would defend Nolan Reimold.
No,
that's his boy.
But
I love Reimold.
That is his boy.
But David Newhand, whoever, it's like take your pick of mediocre
I get
players.
it, but I think of a guy like Jake Arrieta who left Baltimore and said his problem in Baltimore was head issues with the coaching staff. So it makes me wonder, if you give him all this stuff, is it too much
I know, and that's the worst because Jake Arrieta. Now that's what everyone will go to. Well, this guy, he could have been number one starter if he had the right coaching, but now he's cut. You can't play this with every player. Some players just aren't good.
But you're seeing the opposite with Mike Wright, who got the extra analytics, the extra stats and stuff, and now he's pitching well in spring training.
10 innings in spring training.
I know.
We're talking 10 innings in spring training, and you want to crown him as a Cy Young.
No, I'm saying he's the opposite of Bundy. How many innings does Bundy have?
I know, but you're making conclusion after 10 innings of spring training baseball.
You're making conclusions on Bundy after 6 innings.
Oh, after he struggled last year too.
Okay,
10 innings. You think Mike Wright?
I'm thinking spring training.
Mike Wright. In 2 years, we wearing Harry Potter on a beach somewhere.
Mike
Off his team. Yeah.
Mike Wright being good means just as much as Dylan Bundy being bad right now in spring training, because we have no clue what's going on in spring training, and these games are meaningless and don't mean a thing.
I disagree.
I just want to know what Jake Fox is doing
meaningless.
right
You know, I'd kind of, if we could, I'd like to kind of back up to spring training.
Yeah.
Or back up to the years before Twitter, before the internet, before Masson.
The why not year.
AIM.
You know what?
AIM.
I found out.
Before
BM King.
BM King.
Right. I want to go back to the BM King years, because when the why not year happened, I didn't find out about how that spring training went until the end of the season VHS tape.
When you saw Frank Robinson with
I
his
wanna
hands down
know-
pants talking to
Yeah,
team
exactly.
about
Yeah, put your hands.
Oriole
Yeah, put your hands in your pants and don't tell me anything until the end of the season. I want, because I don't know how to judge this spring, because we've seen with hitters constantly, like Jake Fox, have amazing years.
Joey Rickard has
Joey
a clear
Rickard's
spring
having-
training average of like 330.
Joey Rickard's having
He's
another
a
great
great
spring
spring training
again
guy.
this year.
Hyun-Soo Kim was terrible in spring training.
He
Remember
would
that?
never get a hit.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
when
yeah.
he played, he was terrible too. So
Hyun-Soo Kim's my man.
All right, I'm sorry.
But,
So if the Orioles are going to recreate why not, then who's going to be the Jeff Ballard of the 2019 Orioles? Who's going to be the Bob Malachy
Right.
of the 2019 Orioles?
Right.
It's got Dylan Bundy's got to step up. Dylan Bundy and Mike Wright combined for 32 wins.
Here's the quote. Here's the quote about this is from Rakubak about Mike Wright, and then Dylan, I want you to get your take on Mike Wright. I don't know why we're spending so
I
much
just
time
like your
talking about Mike
spelling of rock in the show notes.
Wright. Thanks.
R-O-K.
Yeah.
I was wondering what that was.
He says Mike Wright has extended his scoreless inning streak to 10 innings into Tuesday night start, so he starts tomorrow, which is exciting, against the Yankees in Tampa. Rotation or bullpen, he's got a spot on the team. I think that's a bit presumptuous of Rock, but whatever. Do your thing, Rock. Don't press him for specifics on his turnaround. The data he's receiving from the analytics side is making a huge difference in production and confidence, but it's not to be shared. I love this idea.
I like that.
But I like it in part because he's leading it like he's hiding it, but he's also like, don't ask him about it, like superstition, like I don't want to say anything about it because it's just working.
Yeah.
And I like superstition in baseball. I also have this hope that because of how he says it's making a huge difference in his confidence, that it's just sheets of paper that say you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Way to go. That's my hope for the analytics.
His mom's leaving notes in his lunch.
I just hope it's like little love notes.
I think those positive reinforcements matter, Josh. So I don't know why you're belittling them, making a joke out of them. But Dylan, I wonder if he real into Harry Potter, is he putting out some kind of Pastricta Prostrotum spell? Dylan, what's your take? How much do we take out of 10 innings of good?
And do
if
you
not
know that
great
Harry
spring
Potter
training?
reference?
I just made up a spell. I don't know what the actual spells are. But are you believing what you're seeing with Mike Wright so far?
It's too early to say if I'm believing it or not. I mean, I've always been a huge guy that said Mike Wright belongs in the pen, because if you think about the Orioles in the past, that they've always yo-yoed him back and forth between AAA and the majors, starting rotation, long man, middle relief, back to starting rotation. I've always said just let him be.
You talking about Wright or Gosman?
Right.
I mean, that's what the Orioles tend to do with everyone.
Or no, bonus. Yeah, just take your pick.
Yeah, but basically he's always had a mid-90s fastball, a decent slider, with not much after that. He would try to mix in a changeup and curveball that weren't really that great. So I was always saying, just let him train as a one-inning reliever, go in there, pump 97 to 98 with a decent slider, and see how it works out. Let him go through it for a full season, make the adjustments. It looks like they're giving him a shot back at the rotation, but especially since he spent the entire last season in the bullpen, I was surprised to see that they gave him a chance for the rotation, but that could also be a thing that they see something.
Yeah.
It may be that, and he has hinted that they're making adjustments with him and giving him data that he's never had the opportunity to look at before or even experience. So I'm hoping that it does work out for him, that this is really going to help him. He's going to be good for the long run, but it's too early to buy into it full time.
There's been a lot of talk about something with his cutter and slider and some adjustment he's made to that. But that's just one of his pitches.
He's throwing the same cutter that he threw last year. I was looking on Brooks Baseball, and it's the same cutter that he threw last year. He switched from the slider to cutter for whatever reason, because I thought the slider was a good pitch. But I saw that the velocity on his slider cutter, whatever you want to call it, we went through this with Bundy a few years ago, but it went up by 5 miles per hour, and it moves almost the same amount. So
is it the same pitch?
It's basically the same pitch, same movement.
Just call it a different name. Because Josh gets upset when pitchers aren't allowed to throw the cutter, so they have the same pitch.
I think we've
called
moved on from that,
and then it makes people happy.
Just because that was one of Jake Arrieta's issues.
Yeah, but we didn't want to make sure all our young pitchers didn't get hurt, so we didn't let them throw a cutter, and none of our young pitchers ever got hurt.
Yeah, good policy. Don't throw the ball hard either.
Yeah.
Do you think Mike Elias and Mike Wright send faxes to each other?
AIM chats.
No, like actual faxes.
What are you talking about?
Have you not seen the Michael Jackson thing yet?
No.
Michael Jackson and one of the little boys used to send love notes to each other over a fax machine.
Oh, really?
Okay.
That's what that reference was. Somebody listen to this show will get it.
So you think Mike Elias is...
They probably won't.
Right. So you think Mike Elias is touching Mike Wright?
You think
is that what's helping?
Something's helping to get those 10 scoreless innings going.
I don't like how you lump all Mikes together.
Yeah, Mike Elias.
All right, I want to get to some other stuff real quick here. You put an article out there. Let's get to this real quick, Dillon. You put an article about Cedric Mullins.
That's another guy that the Orioles would love to be the face if he can stick around.
But I see the future center fielder in this team as Austin Hayes. Do you see the future center fielder on this team, Dillon, as Cedric Mullins?
I hope it is, because we thought it was a pretty cool moment, pretty much the center field torch being passed from Adam Jones to Cedric Mullins. We saw the nice clip in the dugout of Jones telling Mullins, go out there first, you're the center fielder. Yeah. So everybody's been hoping that Mullins is the guy to take it over. However, if you think about it, he's never been a big-time prospect.
Nope.
He's outperformed expectations throughout all the minor leagues, and now we just got to hope that he continues to outperform those expectations at the big league level. And it's shown in the minor leagues and at the majors so far, albeit a small sample size, that he's not that good hitting from the right side. And Steve Molesky wrote an article back in August that the Orioles actually told Mullins, if you don't make any improvements from the right side, we may ask you to ditch hitting from the right side and just be a left-handed hitter full time. So it may come
which is not terrible, right?
No, it may come to
being a right-handed hitter.
It may come to a situation where Mullins has to be a platoon player, where he's only facing right-handed pitching, or if he doesn't improve that much at all, especially hitting from the left side as well. There's a lot of prospects that are going to be looking for time. Hayes has looked great in spring training in center field, both defensively and offensively. And the Orioles have another prospect in the minors in Ryan McKenna, whose ETA is probably going to be 2020, and he projects as a starting center fielder.
Yeah.
So Mullins, everybody hopes that he's going to be the guy to hold it down. I hope he does, but he's got some guys that he has to fight off. It's not his for sure.
And this is a big year for him, right? Because McKenna, you might have a year. Diaz, you might have a year. But that outfit's going to get crowded real quick.
Yep.
So this might be his year before all these young guys are ready to kind of prove if he can stay out there.
Oh, yeah. This is definitely a prove-it year for him, especially because all these prospects, they're going to be in the majors pretty darn soon. So basically, it's put up or shut up time for him. If he ends up performing well, good, then you have all the prospects to put in left field and right field around him. If he's not performing well, he could see a trip back to the minors if Hayes and Diaz and Stewart and everybody's ready.
Yeah, it's true. It's very possible. So you can check that out on EutawStreetReport.com for that article. Shoot, we're not going to have time to get to these rule changes because I'm kind of fired up on some of these rule changes.
I mean, we can go through them kind of quick.
Rapid fire.
You want to get to them?
Well, I just want to mention this. Who's the commissioner of baseball?
They announced them on Friday that these would be the new rules for the Atlantic League to test out.
Yeah.
Who's the commissioner?
Rob Manfred, right?
Bud
Manfred,
Seagrave.
yeah. I keep thinking Bud.
Faye Vincent.
I see, and I always want to
Ray
say
Manfred.
Fred Manfred. But
Oh, Faye Vincent. Is that your daughter's middle name? You should have named her Faye Vincent Soroka
I don't think so.
after the former MLB commissioner.
Strokey.
Yeah.
Or a Soroka.
Faye Strokey.
Wow.
Faye Wild Strokey. No, I think Rod Manfred is. I think he's a spineless little snake. Is what I think he is. I think he's a bum, and I think if he had any guts, he would actually do these rules. So hold up.
But the whole point,
The
the reason
commissioner-
these rules are going in the Atlantic League is because
I'm
they
not
don't
talking-
have to
I'm
be
not talking
approved
about the Atlantic
by the
League.
player.
I'm not talking about the Atlantic League.
You want these in the majors.
I'm not talking about the Atlantic League. I'm talking about the 20-second pitch clock. I'm talking about the universal DH. I'm talking about the bullpen pitching the 3 batters. These are things, if the commissioner sits there and says, this game has issues, he thinks these will improve the game, but the at the first mention that the players are, I really don't like the pitch clock, then the commissioner's like, oh, yeah, you guys are right. We'll do it next year. We'll do it in 2 years. I mean, you're the freaking commissioner. If you think you have something that improves the game, and I actually agree with them, I think the pitch clock and the DH, the universal DH specifically improves the game.
Why don't you think
if you're the commissioner, have a spine and actually enforce the rules and do it.
Don't you think those 2 rules would kind of cancel each other out for the players' union?
Sure.
It'd be like the players have to
I
pitch
don't care
faster,
about the players' union.
but they get the extra slot with the DH.
I don't care about the players' union. Your job is to make your sport better, and this will make the sport better, so do it.
Yeah, but if your players then strike, your sport did not get better. Your sport is just sitting dead.
They're going to strike anyway.
Yeah, they're going to strike anyway.
No, I think we're moving. I think
With
we're
how free
moving away
agency
from
went.
it. I think they're
Yeah.
working things out. I don't think we get a strike.
Oh, because Adam Jones got $3 million for 1 year. They
I don't think
all
anyone's
changed their
gonna-
minds.
I don't think anyone's going to strike over a 20-second pitch clock or universal
No.
DH.
No, and it's just presenting it and getting the approval. And I don't know
You
why
don't
he
need the
didn't just-
approval. Just do it.
I
You're the
think,
freaking
I think
commissioner.
I think you need the approval.
You do it in spring training, and then all of a sudden you get a little pushback in spring training, and you cancel it.
No, I think part of the union agreements are that they got to approve rule changes.
Now you're the commissioner. You can do what you want.
That's not
That's
how it
not how
works.
it works.
Executive
know what
order.
it is? You sound right.
Declare a baseball
Right.
emergency and pass the executive order.
Right, it's an emergency. These times
You've been playing
are
too
getting
many
late.
fantasy sports.
You've been watching too much Fox
politics.
News.
Now, I'm not a huge pitch clock fan. I can't.
Why?
I can't.
What do you do? Do you like sitting there for an hour, Dylan?
Whoa,
between
don't
pitches?
yell at him. He's our guest. You're getting real aggressive.
I just remember the playoffs last year. You could go get a cup of coffee between each pitch in the playoffs last year.
You drink coffee while watching baseball?
No, I don't.
In October, it's allowable.
But what I'm getting at here is that if you think about it, for rule changes that have happened over the past 5-10 years and everything, when they're brought up, people despise them.
Yes.
But then everyone just adjusts.
Yes.
People hated replays because they love seeing managers getting ejected. That they love the human effect of the game.
Sure.
All right, but I do like managers getting ejected.
Yes.
And replay.
Yes, it is absolutely fun. I love when managers get ejected after a blown replay.
Yeah.
Those ones are the best.
But you're right. The catcher rule.
The catcher
second
rule,
base.
yes, exactly.
Right.
A lot of people hate the rules, but
I hate the catcher rule.
I do
you
too.
do.
Yeah, I want catchers to get hit.
I liked collisions.
I like collisions.
Collisions are definitely fun. I mean, like I used to be a catcher.
How much? And think about it. Every collision would be an automatic replay. So then we'd get to see that collision in slow motion over and over again.
I mean, I feel like some catchers actually enjoyed it in a way, but also at the same time,
Was it Buster Posey?
After that Buster Posey incident,
Right.
it's just like, okay, just because the catcher is not wearing gear so you can plow him over. The catcher's wearing gear because he has 99-mile-per-hour fastballs coming in that he may have called a curveball on.
Yeah.
All right, so we
I would-
just got
I
to
would
improve the
encourage-
gear.
Still like seeing him getting wiped out.
Yeah, I would encourage more violence, not less. Bunch of strawberries playing baseball now.
Yeah.
But the pitch clock is not going to be a thing, right?
Huh?
There's no pitch clock this year.
No, not this year.
No, which is silly because I felt like they've been testing it, or I guess it's been the between innings that they've been running.
They're still
with.
testing it in spring training this year.
What they should do is, I have all these good ideas. They should just because the minor league guys have been using the pitch clock for a while now, right? For like the last 2 seasons or just last season?
At least last season,
Yeah.
but they also added the weird second base extra inning
Yeah,
game in,
I
in
never
minors.
I never
So don't
understood
just
that
say because they're doing something in the minors, let's do it in the majors.
I usually like all new rules that pick up the pace of play, and that one does, but I don't like that one. But the minor league pitchers are used to it, so
Yeah.
I think the minor league pitchers should have to do it as they're kind of being called up.
As you're coming up,
but don't make
veterans get grandfathered in.
Yeah, veterans get veteran. Like don't make Chris Sale do it.
But then does that mean like late in the game, I'm going to pull in a veteran
just to take longer?
Just to take longer?
No,
just to mess with the other team.
I'm sick of. I really do think, and I'm not. And so many people are old timers. Like the baseball's not broken. Don't fix it. Every sport makes improvement, and baseball has this mindset that we can just stay where we are because the game is pure. But the game is getting longer.
Right.
Like the same game that would be played, 20 years ago is now a lot longer now.
Right.
And we all know the reasons for it. And so why don't we address it?
It
sounds like we want to talk about it a lot, but no one wants to do something about it.
Oh, and they find silly ways to do it, to try to adjust it.
Yeah.
Like the runner on second in extra innings?
Well, that makes sense for the minors because that's to save their players because they don't have as many players.
I think they should do it at every game in the regular season, especially a random Tuesday night. Who wants to sit there for 4 hours to watch the Orioles maybe win after they've already lost 75 games?
It should depend on your record.
It should. Obviously, don't do it in the playoffs.
The combined winning percentage between both teams.
Yeah. Like there should be a calculation to determine like, all right, can we just end this game?
Yeah.
And then
if the combined winning percentage
meaningless
gets
game
below 300, every batter starts with a one-on-one count.
When the Orioles are playing the Royals on a Thursday night in September, when they both only have 50 wins. Do we really need a 4-hour, 19-inning game?
Yeah,
no, we don't.
By the way, tough news for the Orioles, as Salvador Perez for the Royals is out for the year.
I saw that.
Which I say tough news for the Orioles because we're going to be in a tight fight for the number 1 draft pick next year with the Royals. And they just got a little bit worse.
Right.
So that's a tough break for the Orioles.
I do like some of these rules that they are testing now. Like, do you like the robot umpire?
Yeah,
for strike zone. I love that.
Love it.
It makes so much sense. Just throw that in there.
If it works.
Yeah, I have some.
Well, yeah, it's got to work and it's got to be perfect.
By the way, I have some uniform designs for the robot ump.
What are you?
I don't think they knew.
No,
it's gonna be an animatronic.
Right. Yeah, it's not gonna be like Rosie here
singing Pirates of the Caribbean.
I don't understand the larger bases, 18 inches instead of 15.
Base dealers will love that.
Is that a safety thing?
Well, you know what they need to fix?
So.
Because they could go to the double bag like softball.
You know, one of my least favorite things in baseball
I actually want that.
Yeah, I'm okay with the double bag
again,
too.
It's a safety.
Because Manny Machado, you got to watch him at first. But one of the things I like least about baseball is A, how long pitchers take between pitches, but B, the slide to second base when the foot hits the bag and bounces up and pops up, even though the base runner beat the throw, on the pop-up, the guy's tagged out. It was shown on replay. When everyone knows he beat him, it's just, the foot popped up a little bit.
No, but I like that because it then means you need to learn how to slide.
I think you can make a really good slide and still pop up a little bit.
Because if you're dealing with the pop-up, then the next exaggerated sentence is, well, I just overran second base.
I don't think all guys can control when it pops up. Like when
they're good at sliding, you can.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think
what are we in 6th grade?
I don't like the pop up. Anyway, I don't know what you can do about the base to fix the pop up.
This brings me back to the 20-second.
Yeah.
How does that 20-second pitch clock work with the guy leading off? Because you look to the guy at first base.
I think they said that it wouldn't be in effect with
men on,
with a runner on.
Because if there's a 20-second pitch clock and I'm the guy on first base, I'm watching that clock and I'm taking off at 0.
Exactly. That's why they can't really enforce it that well with guys on.
So I think that's a problem that they got to work out. But
you just see it on 1 second and you take off.
Wait, it's what happens in football, right? You see 1 second left on the play clock in football, and the linemen rush in.
Yeah, but then they whistle it dead. I mean, I guess the pitchers could take advantage of it too. Is at 0, turn and throw it to the first baseman.
Yeah, or add offsides to the.
Put a little mark.
After 0, offsides.
How about
that's
this?
just ridiculous.
How about
too far?
Defensive shifts will be banned.
I've been always a fan of that.
Chris Davis has been
how do you
voting
enforce
for
that?
You put little orange cones in the outfield.
Yeah, do you put cones out there?
To stand behind.
No, you do. You do a range that the second baseman lives in, a range the shortstop lives in.
Do you put big circles around them?
You don't put them in real life, but you
chalk
put
outlines.
You have him wear the shot collar. They get shocked if they go out of their
Yeah,
zone.
all right, we'll go with the shock collar.
Or you get a baseball field that looks like a high school gymnasium with different colored lines for different sports, whatever's supposed to be played out
I'm
there.
a fan of ban the shift, but it'll never happen. That'll never happen.
I have seen some people bring it up to where it's not banning but limiting. So basically, the second base bag is the barrier,
Right.
Where the third baseman and shortstop, no matter where they're at, they have to be on the left side of the second base bag, or especially if you're going to like a Chris Davis type shift, your shortstop is going to be playing right behind the bag, and that's his limit.
Right, that's how I think you handle it. Is something like that.
But I don't see that ever happening.
I like what you said that they need to limit it. It'll be like their challenge flags. You get 2 shifts per game.
No,
I saved all my shifts for the 9th inning because I know Chris Davis is coming up.
You don't need a shift for Chris Davis.
Well, now they're shifting to some teams are playing certain players with 4 guys in the outfield and only 3 in the infield.
I saw that with.
Well,
Bryce
it's
Harper.
madness.
Yeah.
They're doing it to Gallo. They're doing it to Gallo in Texas too. The Astros started that last year, or the year before, where they would throw Bregman out in left field.
Well, it's like how we're seeing in football,
That's
how they
some softball
use,
nonsense.
especially on defense, are using positions differently than they have for years.
Right.
All right, the time between innings reduced to 145 instead of 2 minutes.
This
That'll
sounds
never
like
come to the
common
majors
sense to me.
but TV commercials, it'll never come.
You'll see it happen in the NFL.
Oh yeah,
do commercials
on
during the warm up.
Yeah,
Just do that.
Yeah, that's true. All right, 3-bat minimum.
Love it
for pitchers entering a game.
I love it.
I thought
that.
it meant like
That
3
sounds
bats.
great.
Like if you break your bat twice in a game, you're out.
You gotta go up there without a bat.
You only get 3 bats a game.
Now, would you enforce this rule to be 3 batters no matter what, or 3 batters or end of an inning?
Yeah, or the end.
Or the end of the inning.
Because if you have a guy coming in, basically, with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and you don't want that guy pitching the 9th inning,
Right.
basically, his job is get us out of the 8th.
Yeah.
We have Britton coming in for the 9th. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and it's not slowing up the game at that point because you have an.
Right.
You have the inning
and
anyway.
I don't want to have to say walk 2 guys and then get the 3rd guy out.
Or we talked about that before. Like if you put a closer in for to get the last 2 outs, then he actually needs to get 3 outs. So it's a 4-out inning.
I don't know what you're talking about.
If there's 1 out in the 9th inning and you bring in your closer to get the last 2 outs, but he's required to get 3 outs, all of a sudden we're talking about a 4-out inning. That's what I'm talking about.
You gotta extend the game.
I like that.
Yeah.
The game can't end because the pitcher needs 4
No,
outs.
he needs to get that 3rd out. That's why you don't. If you're bringing in close, you have to bring him in with nobody out.
Can we change the save rule that the save rule is required to get 3 outs? I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Or we talked about this before. You guys are brain dead.
No, I forgot.
And then if he gets the last out, then he has to get the 1st out of the next game. The next day he's the starter.
I like that. I like
too.
that spin. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
All right. No mound visits unless the pitcher is removed from the game or medical issues, which you think would then also just remove him from the game.
I don't know why these grown men need any mound visits.
Microphones and headsets like football would solve that issue.
Yes, please.
Yeah, low earpiece.
All right, and then move the mound back 2 feet
This is my
to
favorite
62.5 feet. I don't understand this one.
This is like they took some like serious rules and they thought about them, and then they said, "All right, one more rule. Let's get crazy, right? Let's just move the mound back, and not like let's move the mound back like a couple inches. Let's 2 feet."
Right. I'm
It's a bit extreme.
surprised they didn't change the height at the same time and really mess with pitchers.
Now, the first reaction by a lot of people is that this incredibly makes it easier on the hitters because they have a lot more time to see if it's a strike or not. However, this could also work in pitchers' favors. You're going to see a lot more breaking balls this way. There's a lot more time for pitches to break out of the zone.
Yeah.
You can get a lot more break on pitches.
But how much does that 2 feet affect your arm?
Yeah.
Like, does it put more strain on your arm?
I wouldn't think so at all.
They're throwing just as hard, I would imagine.
What's the point of it?
Well,
Is it a safety?
No, I
Get
think
you
no.
further away from the bat. What's the point?
I think the point
They
is,
want more offense.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I think, and it's a good point, right? The problem with baseball now is everybody strikes out all the time,
And nobody
and
cares.
they want more balls in play.
Yeah.
But the first advantage I thought
So
about
let's get rid of strikeouts.
is the base runner has an extra second, right? With the ball taking longer
That's
to get
true.
there.
Yeah, you'll get to steal, especially with that pitch clock combined with that. Atlanta
And the bigger base.
Aggressive.
Yes. All 3 things.
Yeah.
All these
Ricky Hender-
all these rules, they want more stolen bases.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Ricky Henderson's records are in dire straits.
Right. They should just add a rule on here: no leadoffs.
But I could
Billy Hamilton would still steal bases.
Yeah, he still would. But I could get behind like moving it like 6 inches just to see. Okay, let's see how 6 inches affects the offense of the game.
Well, I don't think 6 inches make a difference. 2 feet, that'll make it. That'll be. Let us see whether or not it changes.
Oh, I think
things.
6 inches makes a big difference.
And aren't they putting these rules into play like halfway through the season?
No respect for the. What is the independent league? Are they required to do whatever the baseball says?
Whatever the baseball says.
Whatever the baseball says.
Yeah, exactly.
Do they have no freedom here?
They're like,
aren't they independent?
Well, that's where like a lot of
Are
veterans go to
independent?
kind of rebuild themselves and try to get picked up by a team.
I know my boy Steve Rydens was there, but that doesn't sound independent to me.
I don't know. Isn't the Aberdeen Ironbirds an independent team?
If
they just have a contract with the Orioles or something?
Dillon, if the baseball came to you or your softball league and they said we're going to move your mound back 2 feet, would you just roll over like a puppy and move your mound back 2 feet?
Honestly, that would be perfectly fine because I piss a lot of guys off when I'm pitching and they tend to just hit line drives at me all the time.
Yeah,
they'll do that.
I vote for moving back the softball mound, and if you could move it a little to the left or right, because I'm tired of hitting pitchers.
The 3 things we just talked about with the pitch clock and the fat base and moving the pitcher's mound back, and you said eliminating leadoffs in order to keep an even keel with the base runners.
We just added
I know. Then there's no more pickoff attempts. That also saves time in the game, too.
That's true.
Nobody's getting picked off if you can't lead.
That's true. The Orioles game this year are going to slow down a lot because we got a lot of speed, a lot of pick-off attempts. That's a good point.
I love when a pitcher tries to pit like 4 or 5 pickoff attempts and the crowd like lets him have it.
Yeah. I boo after the first one, by the way. I don't even wait till number 4.
I think the Atlantic League should just add ghost runners to the mix while they're throwing everything else out there.
I like the idea of a designated runner.
A designated runner?
Yeah.
Can we get that for Trumbo?
Yeah, look for Trumbo.
Literally, as soon as he hits the ball, he tags a guy and he runs.
Yeah.
I thought that's what Albert Pujols had that for a while, didn't he? There was
But they could have it
right next to him.
If they could have it right out of the box as soon as he hits it.
Right, like Cedric Mullins is there in like a running position right next to him.
Yeah.
With even like one of those things like the track runners
It's
have.
like the little starting
push.
block.
Yeah, starting block. That's it.
All right, are you guys done?
Yeah. It's meaningless and it has no meaning.
Terrell Suggs is no longer a Raven.
Oh, is it
Is
official?
it official?
I thought it was.
He's a Cardinal.
I thought he signed with the Cardinals. Is that not official?
I was gonna shut the show.
I thought you were breaking news.
Oh no,
No, that's not breaking news.
I thought everyone already tweeted that.
No,
he's with the Cardinals.
I don't think it's I don't think it's official yet.
Yes. Article here says Arizona Cardinals agreed to sign pass rusher Terrell Suggs.
Is Jason Lockenpocket not a reliable source?
He's one of the most unreliable sources out there, in my opinion.
Nothing can become official until I think Wednesday, because that's the actual signing.
Right.
Period. This is the legal tampering period, but for whatever reason. Which obviously, with how quickly these guys are signing, they were obviously illegally tampering beforehand.
If that's true, that makes me sad. Suggs is the last jersey I have for
Jeff
somebody who's actually
Zebrak
still on the team.
Said the Raven officials sound like they were taken surprised by Suggs informing them that he was signing elsewhere. They believed that he would ultimately come back.
Of course, he played his college ball in Arizona.
Right.
Sure. Is he from there? Is that where he grew up?
I believe so.
I think he's an Arizona guy.
So
he was born in Minneapolis.
Weird.
That's close to Arizona.
Good thing he got out of there.
Good enough.
So for him, I'm sure this is kind of him wanting to go home to play his last year.
Well, I think it's also him wanting to stick it to Baltimore for not signing him when they had the chance.
I don't know. I mean, that's a long. I mean, he's from the 2003 draft class. That's an incredible amount of time to stay with one franchise.
Sure.
He made this decision really fast.
As did a lot of free agents.
Yeah, remember back when Ray Lewis was a free agent and we had to deal with weeks of rumors and then him going to the Cowboys and visiting and stuff.
Yeah. Well, also you weren't allowed to talk to the free agents.
I guess Twitter has changed,
today.
or they have, but we didn't see it in Twitter.
In place
exactly.
Today.
Exactly.
And yet they're going to get Bryce Harper for tampering because you mentioned.
I want Mike Trout.
Right.
Because
in
2 years.
He'd like the best player in baseball. Yeah.
All right, so we get Terrell Suggs. That is like the changing of a guard, right? That was the last kind of remaining guy.
Yeah, that's one I'm legitimately bummed about if he goes.
I now have
if it's true.
No jerseys.
Jones and Suggs, Baltimore to Arizona.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Caleb Joseph. You don't put them on the same.
And T.J. McFarland.
T.J. McFarland.
Christian Walker. They're
Oh,
all over
Christian
there.
Walker, yeah.
Yeah.
How about him? Is he still putting up huge numbers at AAA?
That's it. Yeah.
If I was starting a AAA
I'm sure he's
team,
having
I
a
would
big
start
spring.
with Christian Walker. Yeah.
I'm sure Christian Walker's having a big spring.
Yeah. All right, boys and girls. Thanks for listening to another edition of Section 336. Dillon, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
If they want to follow you, your articles and stuff on Twitter, how can they follow you on Twitter?
You can find me at DAtkinson94 on Twitter.
Yeah, he's a great follow. 94, is that when you first got your Twitter account?
94?
That is when I was born. It used to be OU, but I'm not with the Orioles Uncensored anymore. So
Oh,
I
sad.
had to switch it somewhere.
What happened?
Is anyone with the Orioles Uncensored
This is the
anymore?
bad
Orioles
of the
Uncensored
road.
is
What
not with the
happened?
Orioles Uncensored anymore.
What happened there?
We just closed up
gonna
shop.
Close up shop? All right.
Yep.
Did you say you were born in 94?
Yeah, I just want to make you feel
I'm sorry.
old. That's
Wow.
why I asked that. What's the host of that was John, right?
Yes.
Yep.
What's he up to? You don't keep in touch anymore?
Just a little bit here
What
and there.
happened?
So,
Did it falling out? Was there some drama there? You guys getting
It's
a,
going to be like real podcasts. Real
Right.
Housewives.
not too much drama. Just decided it was time. We weren't really posting that much anymore and
yeah.
everything.
And
Just
then he
decided
said something
to close
about
it.
your mother or something. What happened here?
A couple
You
times.
said, yeah. Yeah, Josh. If we ever get done this podcast, if we ever disband,
Yep.
I'm never talking to you guys again, except Thanksgiving and Christmas.
That's fine.
Easter.
All right. Maybe Easter.
What about Valentine's Day?
No, you're not getting a Valentine's Day card from me.
I'll talk to you every time my wife FaceTimes you.
Yeah,
I'll be in the background.
What if you only return for Birdland Radio?
Yeah, that's right. My one
Triumphant return.
Right.
appearance. Oh, Birdland Radio,
March
31st.
31st. 3 weeks. Less than 3 weeks.
Also, next week, guys.
We got like 10 teams lined, 10 shows
Yeah.
lined up, I think. Maybe more.
Is
It's a
Dylan-
lot.
Is Dylan going to be there?
That's
We'll
up to
see.
Dillon.
I have to see if the schedule allows it.
Dillon,
I'm hoping.
yeah, if Dillon can make
Was
it.
he not
he's-
invited? This is awkward now.
No, he's been invited. He just doesn't have a show anymore, so we got to squeeze him on another show.
Okay. Can we have a Utah Street Report show?
We could if anyone
Do you
from
know
Utah
what-
Street would respond.
Yeah.
You want to get into that?
Do you know who I want from Utah Street Report? We can't get him because he's in Maine.
Actually, we do have
I
a
want
couple.
my boy Jonathan French down here.
Yeah, we don't have Jonathan French.
I like his
I think
takes.
Paul Vale is
Twitter.
from Utah Street, right? Isn't Paul Vale right for Utah Street?
Yes,
All
he
right.
does.
He's coming. So we have a little bit of Utah Street.
All right. I'm sorry. We were wrapping the show up and then I got sidetracked.
It's all right. I made a bunch of whole new shirts.
Oh yeah, I saw. You should check out.
Put up a bunch of new shirts on section
Yeah, they're
336.com.
actually pretty cool. I get a text asking what does caution wet floor mean.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Gonna
listening.
try
That's what I
to
said. Thanks for listening.
push the shirts more this year by coming up with random shirts like caution wet floor and aggressive mistakes, and look next week for BM King.
All right, boys and girls. You can follow. Also, next week's the big show. You know it's next week.
Another guest, right?
No, it's the reading of your March
It's the
Madness
revealing
brackets. The
of
reading of brackets.
The annual reading of my March Madness.
Oh, just another guess.
No, it's,
March Madness is the guest.
That's right.
That's right. And you guys always disrespect my bracket, but not this year. I'm not going to let you guys disrespect.
Are you going to have
my bracket.
Liberty winning it all?
No, I'm not a homer, but Final Four, absolutely.
Nice.
You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at Section336. You can follow Bert on Twitter.
At Bert Rohde.
And you can follow Josh on Twitter.
at Josh Soroka.
Thanks for listening, boys and girls. And as always, go Diamondbacks. And go O's.
Thank you for listening to the Section 336 podcast. Please go to iTunes and Facebook for all complaints or the occasional compliment. If I were you, I would not take any baseball advice from these guys. Josh and Matt were raised by an Orioles-obsessed father, and Bert fell in love with Don Mattingly. He has a thing for mustaches.